Okay, ideas on what to write about. Everybody always says that even if you don't respect Obama, you need to respect him while he's in the office of the president, because the presidency is the most powerful position in the world and it commands respect. You need to respect him because of the office he occupies. This is no longer the case. The President of the United States is no longer a respected position. For the past 6.5 years, Obama has walked around, bent over double because he has no spine, and, bowed down to other powers, pulled out, shown that he's weak, he can't fight an enemy, he's indecisive, he can't support an ally when they're executing somebody who's already been tried and convicted in a civilian court for terrorist actions. And he won't even say that he supports them. So, he's done this for 6 years. The office of the president is no longer a position that can be respected. So it's perfectly okay to disrespect Obama, because he's already done so much disservice to that office. It's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt America's image any more than he has already done to criticize him and, call him, not names. We don't want to be a liberal and just resort to name calling, but use adjectives like weak and spineless to describe him, because it's the truth. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is Obama. He calls it ISIS, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, is something he created. He campaigned on "we are leaving Iraq," and it doesn't take a military genius to know that you don't give a timeline for when you leave. Whether you want to call it a war or not, when you're engaged in military operations, you leave when the job is done. You leave when certain strategic, whatever you determine them to be, whatever your military leaders or the president or whoever determines these strategic checkpoints to be, use a stage gate process, and when you complete these stages, whatever you've determined to be the final goal, whether it's knocking Hitler out and taking Berlin, whether it's capturing the North in Vietnam or not, you don't say, okay, we're going to have all of our ground forces gone by 2011 or whatever his initial deadline was. Because then you have people that say, okay, all we've got to do, and we said this, everybody said this when the dumbass Obama, there's me name calling, I apologize, when the dumbass Obama said, we're going to be out of Iraq by such and such date. We all said, okay, they're going to lay low, they're going to keep doing a little bit, because they can't resist the opportunity to shoot an American and blow their own kind up, because they're dogs. But they are going to wait, they're going to gather their strength, and as soon as we leave, you will see somebody return. It might not be under the flag of Al-Qaeda, but you're going to see somebody return. We knew this. Obama went to Harvard. He's a smart guy. He had to know this. And what did we do? We left a poorly trained Iraqi army that we don't even know if half of them are really on our side or not, with the best military equipment in the world, up-armored Humvees with Mark 19s and 50 cals. We left them Bradley fighting vehicles. We left them all this ordnance and military vehicles and missiles and grenades and advanced weaponry, M16s, M4s, anti-tank weapons, anti-aircraft weapons, all this stuff that, who has it now? ISIS has it. They've taken this because they knew what was going to happen. They knew we were training and outfitting the army, because they probably had a shit ton of people in that trained army who were going to be poorly trained. They spent that time training and gearing up, and as soon as we left, they overran and captured the stuff that we left there. So essentially, unless Obama has no brain at all, which I refuse to believe, he knew what was going to happen, and he gave them military equipment. He outfitted the ISIS army, the ISIS government. Now that they're in power, he's doing nothing to to fight them. He won't even back up our allies who are directly fighting them. The king of Jordan, King Abdullah, is getting in a plane to go fight them himself, and Obama can't even say whether he supports his actions to execute tried and convicted Islamic terrorists in their possession. Okay, so this leaves me one of two conclusions. Either, number one, Obama is an idiot. I don't believe that. The guy is a brilliant campaigner. His strategy at getting what he wants is awesome. The guy gets what he wants. He convinces people to follow him. Even some intelligent people have had the blinders put on by this guy's brilliant oratory. He's a Hitler in the modern times in a different setting. But it's the same thing a guy like Hitler would have done given the cards that Obama was dealt. Okay? Option two is Obama sympathizes with the Muslims. I don't know if he is a Muslim or not. He was raised a Muslim, and then he supposedly converted to Christianity, but when his Christian pastor for 20 years was asked, Farrakhan or whatever, he said that, Obama's been here for 20 years. I wouldn't say that I've converted him from Islam to Christianity, but I would certainly say I've taught him enough to be comfortable with Christianity. Okay, what does that tell you? And then all of a sudden this guy during the campaign, when stuff like this, when in the original campaign, when stuff like this started coming out, all of a sudden this guy was distanced from the Obamas. They silenced him. They wanted nothing to do with him. They labeled him a fringe radical, which he is, and just pushed him away. And, part of the Muslim doctrine is you can lie. It's okay to lie. It's not a sin to lie if you're doing it to further Islam. So Obama is allowed to proclaim his Christianity high and loud at the top of a mountain, at the top of his lungs, as long as he's doing it to further Islam. So if the guy's still a Muslim, I don't know. But a lot of things would indicate that he is. You had to know that you were going to outfit the whatever remnants of Al-Qaeda or whoever, because somebody was going to be waiting. When you give a deadline that you're going to leave a country by a certain date, somebody is going to be waiting to take over in the vacuum of that pathetic government and pathetic military we left there, and take all the stuff that we left. We basically wrapped it up in a nice Christmas present and wrapped it up with ribbons and a nice bow on top and said, here's a full mechanized army for you guys to come and take. And what did the Iraqi army do? They turned tail and ran. And now we've got this poorly outfitted Peshmerga, the Kurds, that Obama won't even send bullets. He proclaims that ISIS is a bad thing, but he won't label them Islamic terrorists, even though they're following the doctrine of what you're supposed to do according to the Quran to fight infidels. He won't call them Islamic terrorists, but he will not even send ammunition to the Peshmerga. A group I work with has had to send people over on their own dime to train these people basic combat life-saving techniques. They don't know how to patch somebody up who's got shot through the arm. It's a non-lethal, it won't make somebody combat ineffective a lot of the time if it's treated properly. It's basic combat medicine. They don't even have that. They need bandages, they need food, they need gasoline for their vehicles. They have to jerry-rig. You can go online and see these anti-armor or these up-armored vehicles they've had to make because the ISIS troops have U.S.-made anti-tank weapons that are just destroying their technicals, the pickup trucks and stuff like that with guns in the back. Obama won't give them anything. And they won't allow for us U.S. people that can't send bullets overseas legally. And, so he's doing everything in his power through his actions to ensure that ISIS is doing fine. They might have some monetary issues, but he's doing everything to make sure that militarily the United States is just dropping a few bombs. We don't have hardly any ground troops over there. We're not outfitting the only people that are fighting them. We're not supporting our allies who are starting to fight them more more viciously, more energetically, the Jordanians, and he basically gave them their military. So what does that tell you about the guy? Food for thought.